Good morning. It is Monday, March 23rd. Welcome to the one and only Ivan. I will start reading on page 194. I think we might be repeating a little bit of what I read to you last week, but that's okay. It's just for catching up. Okay. And also, this video is going to be longer than the normal 5-minute videos because I upgraded my subscription to Screencastify. So this video will be longer, and I'm hoping that because of that, we'll get to finish the one and only Ivan this week. Here we go. Page 194, 12. I lie in my cage with Bob on my stomach. We are watching Julia do her homework. She doesn't seem to be enjoying it. I can tell because she is sighing more than usual. Again, for the 100th time, or maybe the 1,000th, I wonder what is missing from my painting. And for the 100th time, or maybe the 1,000th, I don't have an answer. Dad, Julia says as George passes by with a mom, can I ask you a question? May I? George corrects. Ask away. Julia glances down at a piece of paper. What's the difference between the word spelled Principal and the one spelled Principle? Well, the first one is the head of a school, like Miss Garcia. The second one is a belief that helps you know what's right or wrong. He smiles. For example, it's against my principles to do my daughter's homework for her. Julia groans. Ugh, if I'm going to be an artist when I grow up, why do I need to know how to spell? With a laugh, George heads off. Poor Julia, I think. Gorillas get by just fine without learning how to spell. All those endless letters, those sticks and circles and zigzags filling up books and magazines, billboards and candy wrappers. Words. Humans love their words. I leap up. Bob goes flying straight into my pool. A word. You know how I feel about wet feet, Bob yells. He scrambles out of the water, shaking each foot in dismay. I look out my window at the billboard. I can still hear Mac's voice in my head. Come to the Exit 8 Big Top Motel and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan, mighty Silverback. I count to 12, and then I count again, just to be sure. Page 197. H, like the letter H. I lay out 16 pieces of poster board, 4 down, 4 across. A perfect square. What are you up to? Bob demands. I'm guessing it doesn't involve sleep. It has to do with the billboard. That sign is a monstrosity, particularly since I'm not featured. I grab my bucket of red paint. You're not on the billboard because you're not in the show, I point out. Technically, I don't even live here, Bob says with a sniff. I am homeless by choice. I know, I'm just saying. I study the billboard. Then I make 2 fat lines like broom handles. Another fat line connects them. I stand back. What do you think? What is it? No, wait, let me guess. A ladder? Not a ladder, I say. A letter. At least I think that's what they're called. I have to make 3 more. Bob cuddles up next to Not Tag. Why? He asks, yawning. Because they don't have a word, a very important word. I dip my fingers into the paint. What word? Bob asks. Home. Bob closes his eyes. That's not so important, he says quietly. Page 200. Nervous. All day long, I knuckle walk circles around my cage. I'm so nervous I can't nap. I can't even eat. Well, not very much anyway. I'm ready to show Julia what I've made. It has to be Julia. She's an artist. Surely she'll truly look at my painting. She won't notice the smudges and tears. She won't care if the pieces don't quite fit together. She'll see past all of that. Surely Julia will see what I've imagined. I watch Ruby try sullenly through the 4 o'clock show, and I wonder, what will happen if I fail? What if I can't make a Julia understand? But of course, I know the answer. Nothing. Nothing will happen. Ruby will remain the main attraction at Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, conveniently located off I-95, with shows at 2, 4, and 7, 365 days a year, year after year after year. Page 202, showing Julia. It's time to show my work. The mall is silent except for Thelma, the macaw, who is practicing a new phrase. Uh-oh! Julia is finishing her homework. George is sweeping outside. Mac has gone home for the night. I grab Knot Tag and carefully pull out the folded papers. So many paintings, page after page, piece after piece of my giant puzzle. I pound on my glass and Julia glances over. Fingers trembling. I hold up one of my paintings. It's brown and green, a corner piece. Julia smiles. I display another picture, and then another, and another, and another, each one a tiny part of the whole. Julia looks confused. But what is it? She asked. She shrugs. It doesn't matter. It's pretty just as it is. Uh-oh, says Thelma. No, I think. No, it does matter. Page 204, more paintings. George calls out to Julia. He's done for the night. Grab your backpack, he says, and hurry. It's late. Gotta go, Ivan, Julia says. Julia doesn't understand. I have to find the right pieces. I dig through the pile. They're here somewhere. I know they are. I find one, another. I tried to hold 4 of them up against the glass. Bob, I say, help me, hurry. Bob grabs paintings with his teeth and drags them over to me. One by one, I shove the pictures through the window crack. They crumple and tear. There are too many pieces. My puzzle is too big. Careful, Ivan, Julia says. Those might be worth millions someday. You never know. She arranges the paintings in a neat stack. I suppose Mac's going to want to sell these in the gift shop. She still doesn't understand. I shove more out of the hole and more, all of them, one after another. So Ivan's been painting, has he? George says as he puts on his coat. A lot, says Julia with a laugh. A whole lot. You're not going to take all those home with you, are you? George asks. I mean, no offense to Ivan, but they're just blobs. Julia thumbs through the towering stacks of painting. They might not be blobs to Ivan. Oops, having trouble turning the page. Let's leave those by the office, George suggests. Mac will want to try selling them soon. Although, why would anyone want to pay $40 for a finger painting that a 2-year-old could do? I don't know. I like Ivan's work, Julia says. He puts his feelings into them. He puts his hair into them, George says. Julia waves goodbye. Night, Ivan. Night, Bob. I press my nose against the glass and watch her walk away. All of my work, all my planning, wasted. I look at Ruby, sleeping soundly, and suddenly I know she'll never leave the Big Top Mall. She'll be here forever, just like Stella. I can't let Ruby be another one and only. Page 207, chest beating. Often, when visitors come to see me, they beat their hands against their puny chests, pretending to be me. They pound away, soundless at the wet wings of a new butterfly. Soundless as the wet wings of a new butterfly. Wow, that's a good simile. The chest beating of a mad gorilla is not something you ever want to hear. Not even if you're wearing earplugs. Not even if you're 3 miles away wearing earplugs. A real chest beating sends the whole jungle running, as if the sky had broken open and men with guns are near. Page 208, angry. Thump! The sound, my sound, echoes through the mall. George and Julia spin around. Julia drops her backpack. George drops his keys. The piles of pictures go flying. Thump, thump, thump. I bounce off the walls. I screech and bellow. I beat and I beat. I beat and I beat and beat my chest. Bob hides under Knot Tag, his paws over his ears. I am angry at last. I have someone to protect. Page 209, puzzle pieces. After a long while, I grow quiet. I sit. It's hard work being angry. Julia looks at me with wide, disbelieving eyes. I'm panting. I'm a little out of shape. What the heck was that? George demands. Something's really wrong, Julia says. I've never seen Ivan act this way. He seems to be calming down, thank goodness, George says. Julia shakes her head. He's still upset, Dad. Look at his eyes. My pictures are scattered all over the floor like huge autumn leaves. What a mess, George says, sighing. I wish I hadn't bothered sweeping tonight. Do you think Ivan's okay? Julia asks. Probably just a temper tantrum, George says. He reached under a chair to retrieve a brown and red picture. Can't say I blame the guy stuck in that tiny cage all these years. There's a picture of all those pictures on the floor, all those papers. Julia starts to answer, but then she freezes. She cocks her head. She stares at her feet, where my pictures lie in disarray. Dad, she whispers, come see this. I'm sure he's another Rembrandt, George says. Let's pick these up and get going, Jules. I'm exhausted. Dad, she says again, seriously, look at this. George follows her gaze. I see blobs. Many, many blobs, along with the occasional swirl. Please, can we go home now? That's an H, Dad. Julia kneels down, straightening one picture then another. That's an H. And here, she grabs more pictures, puts this one here. And I don't know, maybe that one. Put this one here. And I don't know, maybe that one. You have an E. George rubs his eyes. I hold my breath. Julia is running now. She picks up one picture, sets down another. It's like a puzzle, Dad. This is something. It's a word, maybe words and a picture of something, a giant picture. Jules, George said, this is crazy. But he's looking at the floor, wandering from picture to picture, scratching his head. H, Julia says. E. O. Ho? Julia chews her lip. H-E-O. And then looks a lot like, and that looks a lot like an I. H-E-O-I. George writes in the air with his finger. I-E-O-H? Not the letter, an actual I. And that's a foot, or maybe a tree and a trunk. Dad, I think that's a trunk. Julia runs over my window. Ivan, she whispers, what did you make? I stare back. I cross my arms. This is taking much longer than I thought it would. Humans, sometimes they make chimps look smart. All right, that's where we're going to stop right there, my friends. We're on page 214. Let's see if Julia can figure out what the word is that Ivan is trying to spell. So far, they have said H-E-O-I. They thought it might be hoe, like a garden hoe. They're not really sure what the word is yet. I am hoping they'll find out, and you will get to hear some more of the one and only Ivan tomorrow. Look how far we are in the book so far. We are almost there, and I bet we're going to finish this week, and you guys will be able to take your AR quiz, and then we'll get to start on another read aloud. I cannot wait to hear in the comments how you are enjoying the one and only Ivan. I miss you guys so much. Bye.